So I've talked about all the fairy tales that I could pull up from these three clusters from Grimm, Alice, and Lapis. And as I mentioned in the previous video, I mean, you can go in many ways. Not so much in fire, but definitely you can do light. I mean, you can do wind with the musketeers. You can do water with the counters, the triple counter critters. More water, good stuff. More wind. But yeah, so when it comes to darkness and fire, yeah, you can do darkness and have a lot of darkness supporting cards. You actually can. I think fire is the one that looks like the least that it would be a splash. It wouldn't be like a really core to a deck. All right. But that covers 4 of the 5 attributes. And so this is why I believe that Grimm is really his own mini cube. So let's talk about the supporting cards for Grimm in light and then also in wind. And of course, by supporting, it'd be like specifically supporting, but also just the package. And then in the case of wind, also specifically supporting, but also a package. All right. And so for wind, you have this guy who's a human. Continuous. Fairy tales you control cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls. So it protects your fairy tales. That's pretty good. Then interdimensional escape. Each player chooses a resonator they control. Then each player banishes all other resonators. This is pretty good board wipe -1. Yeah, it's a little bit like balance from early Magic, but only for resonators. Target blocking resonator you control gains +1000 +1000. Yeah, it's a huge, and it's also instant, so it's a great defense strategy. And usually you will net you killing off the defending resonator. +200, 200, and flying. So the biggest thing here is that it makes one of your fairy tales fly. Then put any number of fairy tale resonators from your graveyard on top of your deck in any order, then draw a card. So yeah, Curse of the Frozen Casket is coming in definitely with a nice suite of not just fairy tales, but also fairy tale support. Busted band card from CMF, Tell a Fairy Tale. Search your main deck for a fairy tale resonator. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If it's your ruler is Grimm, he will be. You put it into your field instead. That's really good. It's any fairy tale. Pick which one you think is the strongest. Then weapons +5/+5 since we are in light. Yeah, and I've discussed this card before. Then a reanimator in white or light. Put up to 1 target addition field and up to 1 target resonator from your graveyard into your field. And also magic stones, but I don't see how magic stones land in the graveyard. I don't understand that. Your opponent controls 3 or more resonators than you. Remove 2 target resonators from the game. Very good. That artwork would never fly in Magic. We've talked about this guy before. Very strong. Same with Pendragon. So if you want to have some big dudes in light, of course, Wyber, absolutely. I mean, a lot of your fairy tales are 1-drops and 2-drops, and would definitely be the turbo for Wyber. And if you're encountering Regalia and you're in light, this guy should be good to go. There's no Regalia in this deck because really the Regalia, the good ones, usually tend to boost your J Ruler, and Grimm, our friend Grimm, does not have a J Ruler side. It's just a ruler. Okay, so what about the wind package? I believe this is the only card that specifically helps fairy tales. It says fairy tales you control gain +2/+2. For activating and wind, banish it. Search your deck for a fairy tale resonator and put it into your hand. Yeah, so it can tutor for a fairy tale besides just protecting one. If you're in wind, you want to get some boost for your will. Why not? Then you may want to gain a bunch of life. Get one of your small dudes out of the graveyard. You may want to destroy additions or regalia, one or many, with Storm Torrent. Of course, the Force of Will needs no introduction. Cancel your cancel spells, then put it on a resonator. When it dies, you can bring the resonator back, but not this thing. Law of Silence, similar to Silence in Magic. Silence your opponent for a turn. Get a filter for your splashable colors or attributes, and here your splashes are going to be everything but light and wind, so this would be a very good card. And then draw a card and also do some canceling, so very, very versatile. All right, so that was what I would call the Grimm Light Wind package, and I will at some point later on turn this into like a real deck. Right now it's really more of a sketch of the way it could go. I have multiple Grimms, and I may even build for posterity multiple Grimm decks. I'm considering that, given that I keep saying it and I want to walk that walk from the talk, that Grimm is his own mini cube.